Admiral Ross stood at the command deck of the Empire's flagship, his four eyes fixed on the holographic display before him. The massive screen showed a small blue planet on the edge of Empire space, a planet that shouldn't have been sending out faster than light signals. "Impossible," he muttered, his scaled fingers tapping against the polished control panel. "Scan it again." The ship's AI complied instantly. "Third scan complete. Admiral, results unchanged. The species, which calls themselves humans, has achieved FTL travel within the last 5 years." Ross shook his head in disbelief. The Empire had ruled the galaxy for over 10,000 years. They had conquered 1,000 different species across 10,000 worlds. Every civilization followed the same pattern. It took at least 500 years after discovering space travel to achieve FTL capability. "Show me their military strength," Ross commanded. The hologram shifted, displaying Earth's orbital defenses and fleet numbers. The Admiral almost laughed. Their ships were tiny, crude things, barely worthy of being called starships. Their weapons were based on primitive nuclear fusion, and their shields could barely stop a meteor, let alone a proper plasma cannon. They managed FTL travel with this level of technology. Ross asked, his voice thick with contempt. "How?" "Unknown, Admiral," the AI responded. "Their scientific development appears irregular. They prioritize certain technologies while seemingly ignoring others. Their computer systems are particularly primitive, yet they've managed to create functional FTL drives." Ross walked around the hologram, studying the human fleet formations. Something about them seemed odd. They weren't following any of the standard defensive patterns taught by the Empire's military academies. "What about their social structure?" he asked. "Complex and chaotic, Admiral. Unlike most species, they have no unified government. Their planet is divided into nearly 200 independent territories they call countries. They frequently engage in conflicts with each other." This made Ross pause. A species that fought itself. How had they even survived long enough to reach the stars? "Send the standard greeting package," Ross ordered. "Include the usual conquest warnings. Let's see how they respond." Hours passed as the message traveled through space. Ross spent the time reviewing Earth's history, provided by the Empire's long-range monitoring systems. The more he read, the more confused he became. These humans had gone from primitive flight to space travel in less than 70 years. It had taken most species centuries to make that leap. The response from Earth arrived faster than expected. Ross opened the transmission, expecting the usual pleas for mercy or promises of submission. Instead, a simple message appeared. "We respectfully decline your offer of peaceful submission. Earth is not for sale, rent, or conquest. Any hostile actions will be met with appropriate force." Ross read the message 3 times. In 10,000 years, no species had ever rejected the Empire's initial warning. They all knew what happened to those who resisted. "Prepare a standard conquest fleet," Ross commanded. 100 ships should be more than enough for such a primitive world." "Admiral," the AI interrupted, "I've detected unusual energy readings from Earth. They appear to be conducting weapons tests of an unknown nature." "Irrelevant," Ross dismissed the warning. "No primitive species has ever developed anything that could threaten Empire technology. Send the fleet." As Ross watched the conquest fleet depart, a strange feeling settled in his gut, something he hadn't felt in his 300 years of service to the Empire. Was it uncertainty? No, impossible. The Empire had never lost a conquest war. These humans would learn their place, just like all the others. But as he studied the hologram of Earth one last time, Ross couldn't shake the feeling that something was different about this species. They seemed too confident, too ready for what was coming. "Send a message to Imperial Command," Ross decided. "Request permission to prepare a backup fleet, just in case." The AI acknowledged the order, but Ross barely heard it. His eyes were fixed on the small blue planet, wondering what surprises these humans might have in store for the Empire that had never known defeat. Commander James watched the Empire's fleet appear at the edge of the solar system. 100 massive ships, each one larger than anything humans had ever built, emerged from faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. Their silver hulls gleamed in the distant sunlight, a display of power meant to inspire fear. But James wasn't afraid. He smiled. All ships maintain radio silence, he ordered from his command chair on the Earth Defense Force flagship. Let them think their sensors are working correctly. The Empire fleet moved forward slowly, clearly expecting no real resistance. Their scans would show only 50 small human ships, scattered randomly around Earth's orbit. What their scans couldn't detect were the 200 other ships hiding in the dark side of the moon, their new stealth systems making them invisible to Imperial technology. They're launching their warning shot, James's tactical officer reported. Standard Imperial plasma burst, aimed to miss Earth by 10,000 kilometers. The massive burst of energy lit up space like a second sun. James watched it pass harmlessly by Earth, exactly as predicted. The Empire always followed the same pattern: one warning shot, then a demand for surrender, then attack. The intelligence team had decoded these patterns from the Empire's own greeting package. Incoming transmission, the communications officer announced. A hologram appeared on the bridge, showing a four-eyed alien in a decorated uniform. This is Captain First Class Vale of the Imperial Fleet. Your pathetic defenses are no match for our power. Surrender now, and your species will be permitted to live as servants of the Empire. James pressed a button, sending their prepared response. 30 seconds of static, followed by a corrupted video signal that made it look like Earth's communications were failing. Sir, his tactical officer whispered, they're moving into attack formation. Perfect, James replied. They think our communications are as primitive as our ships. Begin Operation Trojan. The Empire fleet spread out in their standard attack pattern, preparing to launch their first real strike. They never saw the small drone-controlled ships detaching from the human vessels, each one carrying a specially designed weapon. They're charging weapons, the tactical officer reported. Wait for it, James ordered, watching the Empire ships carefully. Wait for it. The Empire's first volley of plasma fire launched, lighting up space once again. But the human ships didn't try to dodge. Instead, they each released clouds of what looked like space debris. The Empire's plasma bolts hit the debris clouds and vanished. The clouds, actually filled with specially designed energy-absorbing particles, soaked up the powerful weapons fire like a sponge absorbing water. Now, James commanded. The hidden drone ships activated their experimental weapons. Each one generated a small but intense gravitational field, just like the ones used in human FTL drives. But these weren't aimed at space, they were aimed at the Empire ships' hulls. The effects were immediate and devastating. The gravitational fields tore at the Imperial ships' armor, creating waves of destruction across their perfect hulls. Their own shields, designed to stop energy weapons and physical impacts, did nothing against this kind of attack. All ships, attack pattern Delta, James ordered. The human fleet broke formation, moving in ways that made no sense to Imperial tactical computers. Each ship followed its own random path, making it impossible for the Empire's automated targeting systems to predict their movements. The battle lasted less than an hour. When it was over, 30 Empire ships had been destroyed, 50 were severely damaged, and the rest were retreating in disorder. The human fleet had lost only 12 ships, all of them unmanned drones. James watched the Empire fleet disappear into FTL, running back to their territory. He knew this was only the beginning. The Empire would return with a bigger fleet, with new weapons, with better tactics. But that was exactly what humanity had planned for. Send word to Earth Command, he ordered. Tell them Phase 1 was successful. The Empire took the bait. They'll be back with their best ships, just like we wanted. His crew looked at him with confusion, but James just smiled again. The Empire didn't understand what they had just started. They thought they were the hunters, but humanity had just begun playing a very different game. "Begin Phase 2, James commanded. "Let's show them what humanity can really do." Admiral Ross paced in front of the Imperial War Council, his scaled face dark with anger. The holographic displays behind him showed the humiliating defeat of their first attack fleet. "These humans," he growled, "are not what they seem. They tricked us. They hid their true capabilities." The council members whispered among themselves. In 10,000 years, no species had ever defeated an Imperial fleet. The Empire's response was clear. They would launch their biggest invasion force ever. Meanwhile, on Earth, General Miller stood in the underground research facility, watching scientists take apart captured Empire technology. The facility, built deep within a mountain, buzzed with activity as thousands of researchers worked around the clock. "Show me what you found," Miller ordered. A young scientist stepped forward, holding what looked like a piece of the Empire's ship hull. "Their metal isn't just metal, sir. It's alive. Some kind of living crystal that grows and repairs itself. We've already figured out how to make our own version, but better." Miller nodded. This was humanity's greatest strength, not just copying technology, but improving it. Another scientist approached with a holographic display. "Their computer systems are actually quite simple," she explained. "They haven't made any major changes in thousands of years. We've already developed viruses that can slit right past their defenses." Before Miller could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. A massive Empire fleet had just appeared. Not hundreds of ships this time, but thousands. "They're here earlier than expected," Miller said calmly. "Begin Operation Lightning." Above Earth's atmosphere, the Empire fleet emerged from FTL travel. 5,000 ships, the largest invasion force in Imperial history, filled the space around Earth. Admiral Ross stood on his new flagship, ready to crush these upstart humans once and for all. "Full scan of the human defenses," he ordered. The results made him pause. Where were the human ships? Their scan showed Earth's orbit completely empty. Suddenly, small dots appeared on their sensors, emerging from Earth's atmosphere. Hundreds of them, then thousands. But they weren't ships. They were too small, too fast. "What are those?" Ross demanded. His answer came in the form of chaos. The small objects, human fighter drones controlled by AI, swarmed through the Empire fleet. Each drone carried a miniature version of the gravity weapon that had proved so effective in the first battle. But these were new and improved. Empire ships began breaking apart as the drones attacked. Their living crystal hulls, usually able to repair damage quickly, couldn't handle the targeted gravitational attacks. The drones seemed to know exactly where to hit. "Launch fighters," Ross ordered. "Fire all weapons." But the Empire's energy weapons passed harmlessly through the human drones. They had copied and improved the Empire's hologram technology, making their drones appear to be where they weren't. Then came the second wave. Larger human ships appeared, using captured Empire technology mixed with their own innovations. They fired weapons that the Empire had never seen before. Beams that turned the living crystal hulls into normal metal, making them brittle and weak. "How?" Ross whispered as he watched his fleet being torn apart. "How did they develop these weapons so quickly?" The answer appeared on his screen. A message from Earth. "Your biggest mistake was thinking that technology alone wins wars. Humanity's greatest weapon is our ability to adapt and improve. This is just the beginning." In less than 2 hours, half of the Empire's invasion fleet was destroyed or disabled. The rest retreated in panic, their perfect formations forgotten. The Empire had not just been defeated. They had been outmaneuvered, outfought, and completely outthought. As Ross ordered the retreat, he realized a terrible truth. The Empire had spent 10,000 years perfecting their technology, but they had stopped innovating. Humans, in just a few months, had taken that technology and changed it in ways the Empire had never imagined. "Send word to the Council," Ross commanded. "The humans, they're not just fighting us. They're evolving faster than we can attack them. And I fear this war has only begun." Captain Wilson stood on the bridge of the Shadow Striker, Earth's newest stealth warship. The vessel, barely visible even to human sensors, represented everything the Empire feared about humanity. It was unpredictable, innovative, and deadly. "Status report," Wilson commanded, his eyes fixed on the holographic display showing an Empire trade route. "All systems green, Captain," his first officer replied. "The hybrid drive is working perfectly. Empire sensors still think we're just background radiation." The Shadow Striker had been built using a mix of human ingenuity and captured Empire technology. Its hull contained the same living crystals the Empire used, but modified to absorb energy rather than reflect it. Its engines combined human FTL technology with Empire power systems, creating something entirely new. "Multiple contacts ahead," the sensor officer announced. "Empire cargo fleet, exactly as intelligence predicted." Wilson smiled. The Empire, despite its recent defeats, still couldn't break its habit of following strict patterns. Their cargo ships always took the same routes, followed the same schedules, used the same security protocols. "Begin Operation Ghost," Wilson ordered. The Shadow Striker split into 3 parts, a capability that had shocked even its human designers when first tested. Each section was fully functional, controlled by a combination of AI and human crews. They surrounded the Empire cargo fleet like wolves circling prey. "Send the signal," Wilson commanded. A burst of coded data shot from the Shadow Striker to the cargo ships. The Empire's computers, unchanged for centuries, had no defense against human viral code. One by one, their systems shut down. "Empire response fleet detected," Tactical reported. 8 warships, approaching at FTL. This was what Wilson had been waiting for. The cargo ships were just bait. The real target was the Empire's response force. "Launch the drones," he ordered. Hundreds of tiny ships, each no bigger than a car, swarmed out from the Shadow Striker's 3 sections. But these weren't the same drones used in Earth's defense. These carried something new: Empire teleportation technology, modified by human engineers to work in ways the Empire had never imagined. The drones teleported directly into the Empire warships, bypassing their shields completely. Each drone carried a simple message: surrender or be destroyed. "Sir," communications called out, "we're receiving surrender signals from 3 Empire ships." This was another thing the Empire hadn't expected. Humans offered their enemies a chance to surrender. The Empire's own warriors were expected to fight to the death. But humans had learned long ago that mercy could be a powerful weapon. The remaining 5 Empire ships opened fire, their plasma cannons lighting up space. But the Shadow Striker's 3 sections danced through their fire, moving in patterns no Empire tactical computer could predict. Each section fired modified gravity weapons, tearing the Empire ships apart piece by piece. In less than 10 minutes, it was over. 3 Empire warships had surrendered, 5 were destroyed, and the cargo fleet was captured intact. The Shadow Striker reformed into a single ship, its living crystal hull absorbing the scattered energy from the battle. "Send word to Earth Command," Wilson ordered. "Operation Ghost is a success. The Empire's supply lines are now compromised." He looked at the captured cargo ships on his display. Each one contained resources the Empire thought they needed for war. But humanity had already found better alternatives, developed new technologies that made these resources obsolete. "Sir," his first officer asked, "what should we do with the surrendered crews?" "Treat them well," Wilson replied. "Show them our ships, our technology. Let them see how humans wage war, not with blind obedience, but with innovation and adaptation. Let them take that message back to their Empire." As the Shadow Striker prepared to escort its prizes back to Earth, Wilson thought about how quickly things had changed. Just months ago, Humanity had been seen as primitive. Now, they were teaching the Empire what true advancement looked like. Set course for Earth, he ordered, and prepare for Phase 3. It's time to take this war to the Empire's doorstep. Commander Thompson adjusted his stealth suit as he floated outside the Empire's central command station. The massive structure, shaped like a spinning wheel in space, controlled military operations for an entire sector of the Empire. And today, it would fall to humans. Team check, he whispered into his helmet comm. Alpha team ready, came the first response. In position near the power core. Beta team ready, outside the command center. Gamma team ready, communications hub in sight. Thompson smiled. 20 humans in experimental stealth suits against the Empire's most secure facility. The Empire would never expect it. They relied too much on their automated defenses, their unbeatable shields, their perfect security systems. Begin Operation Checkmate, Thompson ordered. The humans activated their suits' special features. Based on captured Empire technology, the suits could now manipulate the same living crystal material used in Empire ships and stations. They didn't need to cut through the station's walls. They could simply pass through them. Inside the station, alarms suddenly blared, but not because they'd been detected. Alpha Team had launched their attack on the power core, creating a deliberate distraction. All Empire security forces are moving toward the power core, Beta Team reported. Command center is barely guarded. Perfect, Thompson replied. Begin Phase 2. While Alpha Team kept the Empire forces busy, Thompson and Beta Team entered the command center. The few guards inside never saw them coming. Human stun weapons, designed specifically to work on Empire biology. Dropped them silently. Command center secured, Thompson reported. Gamma Team, status. Communications hub lockdown, came the response. We're uploading the virus now. The virus was humanity's latest weapon, not one that destroyed, but one that revealed. It was spreading through the Empire's military network, exposing the truth about the war with humans. How the Empire had attacked first. How humans had offered peace multiple times. How the Empire's own rigid thinking was causing them to lose. Sir, one of Beta Team called out. We're picking up unusual readings. Some of the Empire ships in the sector, they're powering down their weapons. Thompson moved to the command center's main display. The virus wasn't just revealing the truth. It was showing Empire forces that they had a choice. Already, ships were breaking formation. Captains were questioning orders, and crews were refusing to fight. New contacts, Gamma Team reported. Multiple ships dropping out of FTL. They're Empire vessels, but they're broadcasting on human frequencies. They were the rebels. Empire crews who had surrendered in previous battles and learned the truth about humanity. They had returned to help, to show their fellow soldiers that there was another way. Station commander approaching the command center, Beta Team warned. Large security force with him. Thompson took position near the door. Let them come. The doors slid open, revealing the station commander, a high-ranking Empire officer, backed by 50 armed guards. They raised their weapons, ready to fire. Stop, Thompson said calmly, deactivating his stealth suit. Look at your displays. Look at what's happening across your empire. The commander hesitated, then turned to a nearby screen. He saw his ships surrendering or standing down. He saw the messages spreading through the network. Truth about the war, about humanity, about the Empire's mistakes. Your empire is breaking, Thompson continued. Not because we destroyed it, but because we showed your people a better way. You can keep fighting and lose everything, or you can help us build something new. The station commander looked at his guards, then back at Thompson. Slowly, he lowered his weapon. Perhaps, the commander said, it is time for the Empire to learn something new. Thompson nodded. This was humanity's true victory, not through superior weapons or tactics, but by showing the Empire's own people that change was possible. Send word to Earth Command, he ordered. Phase 5 is complete. The Empire's military structure is crumbling. Now we move to the final phase, building peace. Admiral Ross stood in the Imperial Palace's war room, watching his empire crumble on the massive holographic displays. Fleet after fleet was going dark or declaring independence. Entire sectors were pledging loyalty to the new human-led alliance. How? He whispered. How did they do this in less than a year? The answer came from behind him. Because you never understood what makes humans different. Ross turned to find Fleet Admiral Davis of the Earth Defense Force standing there, somehow inside the most secure room of the Empire. But Ross wasn't even surprised anymore. Humans had made a habit of doing the impossible. Our sensors never detected your arrival, Ross said. They wouldn't, Davis replied. We've been here for 3 days, watching, waiting. Your palace security is still looking for us on the lower levels. Around them, more holographic displays showed the state of the Empire. The outer regions had already fallen. The middle sectors were in chaos. Now only the core worlds remained, and even they were wavering. You could have destroyed us, Ross said. Why didn't you? Davis walked to the main display, pointing to the human fleet positions. They had surrounded the core worlds but hadn't fired a shot. Because destruction isn't our goal, Davis explained. Never was. We want to make things better, not just tear them down. That's what you never understood about humans. We don't just adapt to overcome problems. We adapt to solve them. A new alert flashed on the screens. The Empire's last loyal fleet, 3,000 ships strong, had just launched from the nearby military base. Your final defense? Davis asked. Ross nodded. The best ships and crews in the Empire. They'll fight to the death. No, Davis said quietly. They won't. As they watched, the human fleet did something unexpected. They powered down their weapons. All of them. 3,000 Empire ships against an unarmed human fleet. What are you doing? Ross demanded. Showing them the truth, Davis replied. The human ships began broadcasting on all frequencies. Not threats or demands, but data. Information about Earth. About human history. About how humans had fought amongst themselves for centuries, but had learned to work together. About how the Empire could change, could become something greater. You're letting them choose, Ross realized. Davis nodded. Freedom to choose. That's another thing that makes humans different. We don't want slaves or servants. We want allies. One by one, the Empire ships began standing down. Their crews had seen too much, learned too much. They had watched humans advance more in months than the Empire had in thousands of years. They had seen humans show mercy when they could have destroyed their enemies. It's over, Ross said, finally accepting the truth. The Empire has fallen. No, Davis corrected him. The Empire is changing. Look, the holographic displays showed something new. Empire ships and human ships were moving together, forming mixed formations. Empire crews were requesting to learn human techniques. Human engineers were offering to help improve Empire technology. This was your plan all along, Ross said. Not to destroy the Empire, but to transform it. Davis smiled. We learned long ago that the strongest civilizations are the ones that can adapt and grow. The Empire has been stable for 10,000 years. Imagine what it could become if it started growing again. A message flashed on the main screen. The Empire's ruling council was requesting a meeting with the human leadership, not to discuss surrender, but to talk about the future. Come with me, Davis said to Ross. Help us build something new. Show your people that even an admiral can learn to adapt. Ross looked at the displays one last time. The empire he had served for 300 years was gone. But perhaps, he thought, what would replace it would be even greater. Very well, he said. Teach me about change. 5 years after the war, Admiral Ross stood beside Fleet Admiral Davis on the observation deck of Unity Station, the massive space structure that now served as the headquarters of the Galactic Alliance. Below them, Earth spun peacefully, while ships from 100 different species moved through space around them. "Another exploration fleet is ready to launch," Davis said, pointing to a group of ships preparing to depart. Mixed crews, humans, former Empire citizens, and 3 other species. Ross nodded, noting how the ships combined the best of human and Empire technology, plus innovations from other civilizations. Who would have thought? 5 years ago, we were trying to conquer you. Now we're exploring the galaxy together. A holographic display activated nearby, showing the latest reports from across the galaxy. The changes in just 5 years were remarkable. Empire technology, combined with human innovation, had solved problems that had existed for millennia. Worlds that had been poor under Empire rule were now thriving. "New contact detected," the station's AI announced. "Unknown civilization at the edge of former Empire space. Their technology level suggests early space age development." Ross and Davis exchanged looks. This was exactly how the war between humans and the Empire had started, with the discovery of a less advanced civilization. "Shall we send them the standard Empire greeting?" Ross asked with a slight smile. "Warn them to submit or be conquered." Davis laughed. "I have a better idea." They watched as the station sent a different kind of message, an invitation. Not to submit, but to join. To learn, to grow, to become part of something greater than themselves. "Speaking of messages," Ross said, "the Council wants us to update the official warning to newly discovered civilizations. The old Empire version doesn't quite fit anymore." Davis nodded. "What did you have in mind?" Ross activated a datapad and began to read. "To all civilizations who reach for the stars, be warned. Humanity has changed the galaxy forever. They came from a single world, united only in their diversity. When threatened, they did not merely fight. They adapted. When victorious, they did not destroy. They rebuilt. They turned enemies into allies and conquest into cooperation." He paused, looking out at the busy space lanes around the station. Their greatest weapon was not their technology, but their ability to imagine better ways to use it. Their greatest victory was not in defeating the Empire, but in transforming it. If you meet them in peace, they will help you grow beyond your dreams. If you meet them in war, perhaps we should leave that part out, Davis suggested. "Let's not encourage conflicts." "No," Ross insisted. "They should know the truth. If you meet them in war, you will learn what the Empire learned. Humans don't know how to accept defeat. They only know how to adapt and overcome. And when they're done, you'll thank them for it, just like we did." Davis considered this, watching as another ship of mixed crew departed the station. "You really believe that? That the Empire is better now than it was?" Ross gestured at the scene before them. Empire ships now carried scientists instead of soldiers. Former enemies worked together to solve problems instead of fighting. The rigid hierarchy that had stifled innovation for 10,000 years had been replaced by something new, something that combined the Empire's stability with humanity's drive to improve. "We're exploring instead of conquering," Ross said. "Growing instead of stagnating. Learning instead of demanding. Yes, we're better. Humanity didn't defeat us. They helped us evolve." The station's AI announced another message from the newly discovered civilization. They had accepted the invitation to join the alliance. "Well," Davis said, "shall we go welcome them to the galaxy?" Ross smiled. "Yes. Let's show them what humanity taught us, that the greatest power isn't in conquering the stars, but in reaching for them together."